the seal of creation is broken, a voice like thunder shall sound, and thou shalt know. We have arrived.
Originally released in Japan for the PlayStation Portable back in 2011, Final Fantasy Type 0 finally makes its way stateside after a long wait. Though it won't be gracing a portable platform like most anticipated, this HD update arrives exclusively on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD boasts enhanced visuals and musical arrangements, but questions persist about the quality of the so-called HD effort, given the game started out as a portable game. So given that Square Enix has managed to overhaul several of its older titles with remarkable results, did Type 0 receive the same love and care? While the new character models look fantastic and are clearly the primary beneficiary of the visual update, other assets seem to have been overlooked. Within the same cutscene, you have two characters with vastly different visual qualities interacting with each other, and it's distracting to say the least. There are times when the game looks very good for an updated PSP title, but inconsistencies in the visual update are apparent. If you're hoping for something on par with a current-gen title, it's best to keep your expectations in check.
Oh, such courage. Just what I'd expect from Kunagiri's brother.
On the flip side, the updated soundtrack is phenomenal. The game's primary battle theme is spectacular and fits the frantic nature of the game's fast-paced action, while others are perfectly suited for their respective scenes. Some tracks are a bit on the short side, but it's definitely a case of quality over quantity. Several of the tunes greatly benefit from the newly added vocals that elevate them well above the originals, delivering an impressive score with a theme that's been in our heads for days.
That's too hard. Moglin's good enough.
Good enough?
Set within a world ruled by 4 nations, Final Fantasy Type 0 gives you control of the famous Class 0, an elite group of high school cadets who are the best in the field of combat. Under the guidance of their commanding officer, the squad becomes an integral part of the fight when a neighboring country invades the kingdom and plunges the world into war. Themes like betrayal, death, sacrifice, and loyalty all come to the forefront in this wartime story. But while it's an intriguing tale, its impact is hampered by awkward dialogue delivery and gaps in both plot and character development.
One day, historians may refer to this as Tempus Finis.
Nonsense. This is not the beginning of the end.
There are several examples of why the narrative structure suffers, including bizarre edits during cutscenes, questionable dialogue, and poor voice work. Too often, Type 0's writing focuses on saying and not showing, frequently asking players to accept large leaps in logic because a character tells you to. The story doesn't do enough to earn that level of trust, leaving you full of questions and doubt from beginning to end.
Oh, come on, don't get all uptight.
The key issue is that Type 0 hedges all its bets on convincing you to play through the game a second time. The initial playthrough will leave most players confused at many plot points because things aren't adequately explained the first time around. Instead, these holes are filled with new cutscenes and optional sequences during a second playthrough. If a story isn't good enough to stand on its own for 25 to 30 hours, there's no way it's going to draw many people back in for seconds. It's a tall order, though the payoff is worth it for those who stick it out, especially the shocker of an ending you get on the first playthrough.
That's about enough. Next!
While the story has its flaws, the combat and missions you undertake in Type 0 do a fine job of compensating. Final Fantasy Type 0 is broken up into 8 chapters, though the initial chapters serve as lengthy tutorials to ease newcomers into the game. As a member of Class 0, you're expected to undertake important missions during each chapter, which move things forward, but you're also given freedom in between these missions to do as you please.
Machina.
Take it easy now.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Whether it's engaging in an optional cutscene to learn more about your classmates, undertaking a secondary mission to help out an NPC, breeding chocobos at a ranch, or training your character to improve their level and skills, there's always something to keep you busy. Each activity takes up a finite amount of time, and you only have so many hours in between missions, so you have to be selective about what you want to do. If none of the secondary activities strike your fancy, you can report to the commanding officer to skip ahead to the next major battle. There's standard on-foot combat segments which make up the majority of the action, and sweeping battles that play out in a similar fashion to a strategy game. While you won't encounter these strategy segments often, they provide a refreshing departure from what you've come to expect in a Final Fantasy game. Even if they're simplistic and lack in-depth control options, they're fun diversions.
G-Train! Damn! This.
The on-foot missions let you take a party of up to 3 active members into combat against enemy troops, mechs, and random monsters in small combat environments that are stitched together to form larger areas. You move around in real time, executing various attacks, casting spells, and dodging your foes' advances. It's far more action-heavy than any previous Final Fantasy game, and the combat's brisk pace will keep you on your toes. Primary missions are simple enough with their linear nature and straightforward objectives, but occasionally there are forks in the road where you have some freedom in how you proceed. Some open small quests like draining a sewer or collecting an ID tag to access a computer in order to advance, but you won't encounter anything resembling a puzzle. Special orders can easily spice up any encounter. These challenges must be completed within a time limit, otherwise your active party leader will perish. However, while undertaking the special order, you can be granted temporary bonuses, and if you complete the objective, you'll be rewarded for your troubles. If you'd rather not be bothered by these messages, you can disable them at any time between missions.
I'm so sorry. I'm late.
You're never late, Remsky. Did you oversleep?
While you have a party of up to 3 members with you in a mission, you can only directly control the party leader. You can switch out between your active party members at any time, and should one fall in combat, you can bring up a reserve to fill their place. Each cadet has a unique playstyle that will take some time to get used to, and there are a few you're sure to gravitate towards. Their unique skills and abilities can be enhanced as you level up, and you can unlock new moves and spells. While you'll need to use the right cadet for the job in certain situations, it never feels like you have to put too much thought into optimizing your character's unique abilities. One thing sadly missing from the HD update is the multiplayer functionality found in the original PSP version. While you can no longer call on friends to come to your aid in battle, special AI-controlled party members taking the names of the game's development team can now join up with you to even the playing field. Like the special orders, you can disable this option if you desire, but for those who might struggle at times, it's a much-needed relief that alleviates some of the difficulty. Combat can feel like mindless fun at times, but the game is no pushover. Even on the easiest difficulty setting, you can't simply mash your way to victory, and you'll need to be more strategic in how you approach certain battles, playing defensively and waiting for a weak point in the enemy's attacks. This holds especially true during the boss encounters, where you'll get absolutely wrecked if you try to simply spam the same attack over and over in hopes of scoring an easy victory. Type 0's battles, while not quite at the level of a character action game, are on a much faster level than anything seen before in the series, and it's certainly a welcome change. There are still problems, however. The lock-on mechanic has issues when it's stuck on a fallen enemy and you're in the process of harvesting their energy, a mechanic that lets you replenish your health and mana while obtaining a type of energy that can be used later to upgrade your spells. Type 0's camera work is far from optimal too, especially when it looks like you're in a drunken haze while riding a merry-go-round. It's noticeable enough that it can become a distraction. Final Fantasy Type 0's HD qualification might be questionable, but don't be quick to dismiss the game itself. While it has its flaws, most notably its story and its need for you to play it twice, Type 0 is a radically different style of Final Fantasy. It strives to go in a different direction than its predecessors, while not completely abandoning the series' rich legacy. Though it's clear Type 0 doesn't completely shed its portable origins, it offers more than enough to stand toe-to-toe with its other console counterparts. It's a good action-packed RPG that does the Final Fantasy name justice.
Rekindle the flame in your souls and set you free.